Welcome to the Crimeycade. I am the mad conservative crime fighter, Stephen Lucas, back here for episode 30 of the podcast. And I don't know, I'm pretty stoked for the announcement I have to make for tonight. And before I make that announcement, and I'm about to be joined by the usual suspect. Oh, I got to deal with him already. Right when I start, he wants to come in. He wants to come in and crash the podcast right when I start. This little goofball right here. This goofball right here. Let's see those Cody emotes. Yes. Those Cody emotes. I think everybody should have access to them. Yeah, spam the chat with them. Because this goofball wants to aggrandize himself. Ugh. Oh, this idiot. Yeah. He desperately wants to go outside. Desperately. He's going to interfere with the podcast again. And now he's going to climb on the desk. And I'm going to have to scare him away. Put him on the floor. Behave yourself, little boy. Cody, the ever persistent troublemaker. Welcome, everyone, to the Crimeycade. Well, I've got a bit of news, but before, I want to make sure everybody else is able to get in here. I've got a few items I want to share before I make my big announcement, because I think it's, I want to just get the stragglers in here. Let's share the screen. Share the screen. There we go. Share the screen and hide that banner. Well, Nintendo had a birthday. Everybody can hear me, right? I should hope so. Because I usually pull the phone out, pull up the Twitch, and see if I hear myself on the chat. Because I want to make sure I'm being heard. But anyway, let's make sure. I'm going to confirm this. Oh, good. I'm hearing myself perfectly. Nintendo, happy birthday. 135 years old. That's right. Well, I forgot the in there. Welcome to the Hype Man JP. Welcome, Steve Hernandez, the general manager of the Blade Wars tournament. And Jet Cogs, welcome. Nintendo, 135 years old, and they started as a playing card company. And bugs are flying in here. Who would have thought 135 years later they'd be where they are? The biggest, most entertaining video game company in the world. Congratulations and happy birthday to Nintendo. Well, guess who went to court this week? Well, last week. Yes, Billy Mitchell and Carl Jobs had their showdown in Australia, in an Australian courtroom. And 5 days of testimony. Somebody did attend the trial and pretty much documented most everything he could write down, pen, paper, and notebook. Went through several pens, documenting what all went on. But if you want to check out the blow by blow by Carl Jobs versus Billy Mitchell, head to perfectpacman.com. Now, the blog was written by somebody who is a member of Carl Jobs' Discord. So it's quite an interesting read. Unfortunately, trolls seem to have gotten in there, and several people were being impersonated. Yeah, JP is not looking too thrilled about this. I'm not going to go it's not going to be an in-depth discussion of this case. Don't worry. But I'm just going to encourage you to check it out. But one other thing I should. So somebody does believe that. Well, a lot of people thought Carl Jobs was going to win this case easily. It's not. Everybody thought it was about the Donkey Kong high scores. It's actually defamation over Billy Mitchell being blamed for the death of Apollo Legend. And this gentleman here, if you can go to his YouTube channel, he gives expert analysis of the text of what the gentleman who documented everything with the perfectpacman.com blog. His analysis is quite the opposite of what the blogger put out. So I don't know. I also encourage you to go to that YouTube channel and check out those analysis videos if you have the time this weekend. But going back to the slides, let me get back. I gotta make sure. I have lost my slides here. All right, moving on. What we got next? Oh. So a little update from last week. I mentioned that, or 2 weeks ago, the losses Sony incurred over the game Concord is far worse than we thought. They didn't lose $200 million. They lost $400 million. And more bombs to come. Assassin's Creed Shadow. The taint of Sweet Baby Incorporated, which I like to refer to as Toxic Brat. That grift may be coming to an end. Square Enix, you might have heard this week, fired SBI, Toxic Brat. Gamers are not too tolerant of the wokeness in gaming, and they've made it known they're not going to patronize games like these new upcoming games like Unknown Nine Awakening or Star Wars Outlaws is not selling very well. Assassin's Creed Shadows in trouble. Yeah, and you can find due to the doing away of physical media, you're not going to find a landfill with a bunch of copies of Concord buried in the desert because they want to go all digital. But then again, we would have popped the disc out and took the insert out and recycled the Blu-ray disc holder. We would have recycled it and used it for something else. But the reason why these games are failing, people, they go to their regular places of employment. They have to sit in through these seminars and have to walk on eggshells for fear of being called into HR for a lecture. And then they go home and they do not want more of the same shoved in their faces when they're trying to escape it all playing a video game. And the other problem is that, one of the game, I don't know which game it was, but a creator, maybe Final Fantasy, I'm not sure. People do not want to play as a protagonist that has the charisma of a damp rag. Nobody does. And you have the games filled with people who just have no charisma, not likable, can't relate to them. They're not going to play it. They're not going to play those games. And what's been so funny is that some of these coders are now finding out if they were associated with this company here, they're now finding it difficult to find employment because other companies have gotten the message that wokeism in gaming is the kiss of death, and they do not, if they're not going to patronize it and risk being the next target of a boycott And that is glorious to see, because that means normalization, the true normal, is coming back. Not this counterfeit new normal, the true normal. We want normalcy again. We don't want the chaos. We don't want the crazy. Next item on the agenda, and so the Blade Wars tournament, and on November the 17th, they changed the date to 12 p.m. Sunday, $35 entry fee. There's supposed to be an award show in about a month, and somehow the winner of one of those awards got inadvertently revealed. I don't know how that happened, but, you know, you don't use the same slides for multiple purposes. If you're like showing those slides off to the general public, you don't want to like cover up the winner on them, because in case you accidentally reveal something you didn't intend to reveal. And that happened. And this guy should be embarrassed. But anyway, without further ado, and yes, you know, there's several awards, and hopefully I win the promo award. Apparently some people forgot I cut promos. I cut several promos. I cut one on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and I'm probably going to cut one again next week. I'm going to cut another promo next week. So anyway, it was quite interesting. Anyway, nothing negative. JP wants to play me again on Breaker's Revenge very badly, and I've kind of been dominating him, at least on that game. He wants another rematch, so we'll have to see. All right, without any further ado, what is my big announcement? What is the big announcement that I've been alluding to? Let's put that up there. Well, you probably heard about this, that a new book is out. Guinness World Records has released the 2025 Gamers Edition. And the Gamers Edition with the top 100 greatest gaming records. The last edition of this book came out in 2020. So a lot of people, so this was a surprise to me that this book came out. So what does this book have to do with me? Well, let's see. I got some emails earlier this year, and there's questions about a particular cartridge. They were looking for the rarest Nintendo game. The Nintendo Campus Challenge. The rarest Nintendo game, page 55. And somehow they got the telescreen from the Super Nintendo version, which is not this cartridge here. But I won't tell. This is page 71. Oh, look who's over here. Oh, the picture looks familiar. Who is that? Oh, that's me. I'm holding the key. Oh, this is from New Year's weekend, 1992. And that's me. You can zoom in on this. Yeah, there I am, holding my Geo key, and there's my dad holding the trophy high up in the air, and people were afraid he was going to drop it. Yes, there it is. I am officially in the Guinness World Book of Records Gamers Edition for 2025. It's on page 71. This book is available at Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, Myers. Of course, it's also available on Amazon. I went looking for this book earlier this week, and stores locally did not have it in stock yet. The person who contacted me about submitting information on the Guinness World Book of Records says they're going to send me a copy of the book. So I'm going to be awaiting my personal copy of the Guinness World Book of Records Gamers Edition. And we shall see. In comments, let's ramp the comments here. Thank you. Well, we got a bit of an issue. My guest is not here yet. He was in transit, and now I'm going to have to find out where he is. And it looks like, yep. I'm going to have to contact my guest. MattyMo is not here yet. Now, maybe, I believe I sent him my, oh, yes, I did send a link. I'm going to have to send it to him again. I don't know where he is. He said he was in transit. He just got off work. 7:17 p.m. He just got off work and hoping to be home by 8:45, 9 o'clock. Well, it's 20 after. I don't know where he is right now. And that's... looks like I'll have to kill a little more time, which I'm perfectly happy to do, because I got a little bit more information to share with the public. Let's go back to the PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, there we go. Share. Well, here's the rundown of the new house highs and world records. Matt Hendrix. I hope he makes it in, because I didn't expect this. New house highs world records. Ross Haggis has almost 1.6 million in off-road. Track Pack said on September 25th. Chris Plackey has taken back the Mortal Kombat score from JP Pitts, eclipsing 22 million. Now, you cannot start a game from a continue. You have to start from a freshly new game. That way, you can't exploit later levels. Test your might for extra points. They do not want you doing that. Not going to allow it. So, Chris Plackey, 22.5 million, and JP Pitt says he's going to take it back. Pete Hans took World Heroes 2, proving his score almost 5.2 million. Andrew Wasco took Space Dungeon at 77,000, and Ryan McClurg of the One Up Arcade. That's the right way to do it. Says it's not an issue. Ryan McClure of the One Up Arcade in Australia has gotten officially the world record on Ninja Gaiden, the arcade edition, 305,000. That score will be submitted to Twin Galaxies fairly soon. Hang on a second. There we go. The highest, there's an A score some notes on the Twin Galaxies site. The arcade house high is like 195,000. Well, Ryan McClure pretty much crushed that one. Went looking online for playthroughs, and the highest score recorded is 350,000. So there's still room for improvement. And They gotta find. No, well, we'll get to arcade awards in a second. The chase for tokens, yes. Andrew Wasco still trying to catch James White for the lead. He's still got 350 token lead. I'm still trying to catch Jamie Tibbetts. I've taken about 7,100. It's a good little ways to go. But when am I going to be back at the Galvin Ghost to put in more scores? I don't know. And of course, the power rankings, Andrew Wasco trying to be the first one to get to 200. 200 high scores. We'll see if he can do it. It also depends on other people not trying to take his scores. So, and yes, here it is. Shadow Warriors Ninja Gaiden. Galvin Ghost not even qualify. Neither is the Garcade. Neither is Underground Retrocade. But One Up Arcade pretty much crushed everybody's dreams with that world record run on One Up Arcade. Still have not gotten a reply from MattyMo. Oh boy, this is not good. Make sure I don't know where he is. Guess I'm going to keep going here. I got to kill some time. Hope he makes it in. But yeah, we need one more score here. It's not looking like I'm going to get up to the Galvin Ghost before the end of the month. I would have liked to have gone, but I got stuff to do. And this weekend's pretty busy. The Route 66 Mother Road Festival is coming to town. There was concerns about it being rained out because of what was left of Hurricane Helene coming up from Florida, but it's not going to. It's going to run out of steam. It looks like before it and just kind of stall out over the southern tip of Illinois. So. And of course, I need followers for my Crimeycade podcast. This is my Facebook page, facebook.com/Crimeycade. All right. Art Blazeman. So you had a question. You whispered me a question on Twitch. Go ahead with your question if you can restate it with the chat, because I promised I would answer it live. I can pull it up. I can pull up the same tweet myself if I can get to it. Why am I not? There we go. Whispers. Okay, so. Oh, the question was, how many video game technicians does Doc Mac currently employ at the Galvin Ghost? A few. I don't know how many, though, but, Another question he had. Have I and Doc ever had an ongoing disagreement about the scoring rules during the T20 event? Well, probably. I don't remember anything in particular. I don't remember anything in particular, but there may have been. I kind of do. Yeah, for Contra Evolution, he was complaining about me padding on early in a level. I was trying to eliminate an enemy that was just seemingly going to hit me if I didn't have the homing missiles trying to take it out. So, and now I got another question. Yeah, I don't know how many game techs are being trained. I'm not privy to that information, unfortunately. So all I can say is that'd be a question for Doc Mack or maybe Tom Knight or Tommy Waffles. Well, the next convention coming up. Well, actually, there's something this weekend. HeroCon up in the Chicago area. I didn't have that graphic up. Matt Hendrix has not made it, by the way. Haven't got a response from him yet. If anybody wants to join me on the podcast right now, go ahead and send me a message. I'll send them the link. He's missing. There we go. I didn't expect this. I hope Matt Hendrix is okay. He was on his way home. Hopefully he did not have any traffic issues driving back. But he is most definitely a half hour late. I don't know if he. Well, he's in the St. Louis area. I mean, traffic jams are a thing. Well, there was this last week, and I guess I'm going to have to kill a little bit more time. MVP of the Year nominees, and JP Pitts looks like he just... Okay, I just got a message. Matt Hendrix just arrived. So we'll give him a few minutes to get ready. Yes, Doug Fox is still there, and he is the primary tech at the Goblin Ghost Arcade. That is correct. That is correct. Okay. Who should get the MVP award for Blade Wars? Right now, Izzy lost the title on his first defense. Shady vacated the belt. Devo lost the title on his first defense. Now, Aiden Cordova did lose on his first defense, but he showed up and fought all the way to the final round, defeating JP Pitts. He's been there pretty much every Blade Wars tournament, but no avail. 3-time Bloody Wars champion. Third, is now on his third reign with the belt. Yes, I would like to get that nice big belt around my waist. Of course I do. But who should be the MVP? It's a coin flip between Aiden and Norbert. A coin flip. I'm glad I'm not the one picking the award. I'm glad I'm not that person. But I know what it's like to pick winners for yearly awards. It's not easy. It's difficult. All right. And looming, the 40th annual Pinball Expo. I'm still waiting to find out if I'm going to get to defend my championship at the Pinball Expo. We still haven't heard anything from Rob Burke on whether he's going to make Doc Mack an offer he cannot refuse. Because right now, all there is Doc Mack is going to be a part of a seminar. That's it right now. I may show up at the Pinball Expo with my belt, but I don't get to defend it because there's no tournament to defend in. I was planning to take my belt up there and cut promos on the convention floor. Probably borrow the microphone from the auction area. Ask them if I could cut a promo on the auction right in front of a crowd and kind of chide people into entering the GGA Super 7 tournament and face me for the title. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Don't know yet. We're waiting on Rob Burke, and I'm probably going to cut another promo and send it right to Rob Burke. Because time's running out. We're about until October. I've got my ticket. I got my hotel. I'm going to be heading back up there. There's also the Video Game Summit happening at the same time, and they're going to be set up right next to the Galvin Ghost area, assuming they go. Assuming they go. Well, I don't know if it's going to happen. So, we'll have to see. And next week, Matt Hendrix is coming in, by the way. He just arrived. So, just getting more messages. I tried to take care of this stuff before the podcast started. Anyway, coming in next week, the collector of obscure arcades, Taylor Lucas. He calls himself Dillweed. I'll have to find out what the origin of that nickname is. But you see he's standing there between an Enigma 2, which he's been looking for parts because he had the board. He just needed the cabinet. And somehow, for Enigma being such a rare game playing game, 5 of these have been discovered. One is in Texas, owned by, I think, Free Play. One is owned by Jason Kopp in Ohio. A cabinet showed up at the Midwest Gaming Classic in Wisconsin for auction. It had a Tetris in it. When I saw the cabinet, I knew what it was, and I alerted the auctioneer and the owner of that cabinet what they had, because people have been looking for this. That is a rare cabinet. There's not very many Enigma 2s around. They're rare. Well, turns out Arcadia in McLean, well, actually Atlanta, had another Enigma 2 cabinet. It had Lee Trevino fighting golf in it, but it was another Enigma cabinet down in Atlanta. But a 5th one has been discovered. Taylor was on this warehouse raid fairly recently. A 5th Enigma 2 cabinet was found, besides painted over with black, converted to Star Force. Well, games were rescued out of that warehouse, abandoned warehouse, along with a couple other gentlemen. So we'll talk about that warehouse raid next week. So what would be the financial reason GGA would not choose to participate? Well, Galvin Ghost is a big deal. And, Doc has in mind to, I guess, basically do a Galvin Ghost convention to show other conventions how to do a convention, or at least how to promote a big player like the Galvin Ghost. So there's another. Oh, I gotta go back here. Art Blazeman, what kind of game is that Blade one you're referring to? Can you please elaborate a little bit? I wasn't sure what you're referring to. Anyway, I'm still waiting Matt. I'll have to check on him. What I am going to do, so Taylor will be in here next week, and we'll have a lot of fun. All right, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to check on Matt Hendrix and see where he's at. Hopefully, he'll be ready to go after the break. So stand by, and we'll be right back.
I'm Walter Day, the father of esports, and you're watching MattyMo's Arcade. You know how long it's been since I played whack-a-mole?
I'm getting ready to attack. Fanny pack attached. Tokens are all stacked. Got the mallet in my grasp. Waiting for the moles, hiding in their holes. Scoreboard keeping tally. I'll be playing till they close now. Can't nobody beat my high score. You can't beat my high score. Can't nobody beat my high score. You can't beat my high score. I'm a mallet master, a single-fisted blaster. You can ask my baby, it starts slow then gets faster. I'm a record setter.
So he's like thinking of a way out of it, and then he's like, no, I'll go get it.
You got to check out this guy, MattyMo. Yeah, MattyMo's Arcade.
I don't know enough about his methods. I would love to talk to him one day.
I think
Hear me all right?
some pinball. Yes, there was some pinball based on a roller coaster that had, I guess, a little bit of ramping, but not much. I think it was a Comet or
Which one
Cyclone.
was it?
It's either Comet or Cyclone.
Yeah, that's solid state. That's like 10, 15 years later. No, probably like 10 years later. This is like a 60s pin. It's old. But I think it's a Gottlieb. It's not really a full wedge head, but it's really similar in style.
Okay.
Yeah, it was standard stuff that you run into with the Bali and Stern pinballs. The batteries had leaked all over the MPU. There was just all that, they say acid damage, but it's alkaline damage. So we just replaced that one. It's a customer's board. I don't have time to take on that kind of repair. And this is actually a repair that I started 2 years ago, and just going out of town and working at arcades and stuff. I haven't been able to get back over there, but I spent, I think, 18 hours straight on my feet working on them, and got a new Alltech MPU put in. I repinned all the connectors, all the pins and the connectors on that era of Bali and Stern machines from like 70 to late 80s. They have really bad pins, really bad headers. So you got to change the pins and the headers. Did that. I had to rebuild the rectifier board. Then I started getting voltage from there to the driver board. Still had nothing to the MPU yet. Just kept repinning, going through the schematic. There was wires in the wrong spot and spliced wrong. And, the Jethro fix. And, I know a guy. And, well, that guy came over and he made my life a living hell. But got through that. And then that was all day yesterday, most of the night. And then today about noon, I think, is when I started getting voltage from the solenoid board all the way over to the MPU. And I can't really remember if it wasn't the connector itself, it was the rectifier board, I think. But yeah, it had to have all new headers. They were just completely oxidized. There was no connection, even with good pins on there. Just had to go through, and it's just time consuming. It's not really that difficult to work. And then once you get there, every wire that you repin, it's like something else pops up. Oh, I got more GI lighting, or now we have sound. Scoring works here and there. So that's when it starts to get fun. It's not as tedious. So what have you been working on?
What have I been working on? I gotta throw this up here. So this is your YouTube page. Well, tonight, if you haven't,
most of them are arcade or pinball repair. I put whatever I like to do and whatever I find enjoyable and enjoying, and what I'm enjoying at the moment, or whatever I'm working on at the moment, even if it's not arcade related, it's usually somewhere along those lines. It's electronics. We're using the same tools, same theories.
Yeah. So what was I working on? Well, yeah, I had to kill a lot of time apparently. Yeah, I didn't expect to kill an hour. I expected to like kill about 10,
I
20
think I
minutes
got
at
home
most.
right in. If I would have had everything set up already, I could have walked in and jumped right on. But I had basically an entire truckload of tools to bring in. It's like I can't leave them outside in this day and age. And then I was running around looking for my charger cables, and I was like, "Oh, I got a new mic. I have to use this mic." And then I didn't realize I was going to have headphones too. And good times though.
Well,
I'll know
you don't
next time.
actually have to use headphones because I've streamed without the headphones. It's just to shut out all the outside noise.
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything. I don't know. Maybe I don't have a mic on this. Yeah, I got speakers on
You
there. I
got
don't know.
mic. I can hear you just fine.
I got a good mic over here. I don't know about how good, but $50.
Well, I can hear noise. I can hear it cleaning. So obviously, I'm hearing audio from that mic because I'm
Nice.
hearing you banging
Yeah, I hear you
around.
great,
It's like,
too.
yeah. So, yeah. I'm gosh, because I had to kill so much time. I kind of a little discombobulated on going through the flow of topics.
Right.
So the quick overview of your YouTube channel, you like have 1,000 videos on it.
Right.
It runs the gamut. Arcade walkthroughs, repair, coin pushing, claw machines.
Yeah, I play stuff and
Good grief! It can't.
it.
This will never happen.
The
Like a
$15 Kickman. That was at
finding an arcade game in a Goodwill. Period.
They had that. They had the Kickman, and I think there was another 2 arcade games that somebody picked up before we got wind of them. And they still had 2 claw machines that were there, and they were $5 and $10. Both Greyhounds. One was a Big Choice, and one was a Greyhound.
Never,
But still,
ever.
I mean,
Never,
I would've
ever,
grabbed those
ever, ever will I find an arcade game in a Goodwill or a Salvation Army. Never.
I think somebody
Not
died.
around here. Not in Central Illinois. Maybe a big city like St. Louis or Chicago, but not around here. Ah,
They were downtown St. Louis, and it was you go downtown and they have like this big, huge warehouse, and you can buy by the pound, I think.
yeah.
And I don't think that's how they were priced, but usually that's how it works downtown. It's like an outlet. But that's pretty cool.
How did they end up in a Goodwill? That's what I really want to know.
Store, kind of.
How did they end up in a Goodwill? Can you hear me?
I don't know who donated them, but like I said, I think somebody died, or like maybe there was a divorce that happened, and the wife just was like, get rid of all this crap. But that we put a lot of time and money into that Kickman to get it working too. We sent it to CD Jump from Claw, I think 3 or 4 times. But that's also Mike doing it. I wasn't there for a lot of that, so I can't take credit for any failures or successes.
Let's see, modern repair. What else we got? Oh gosh, there's there's a series on Steve's Arcade. There's also some warehouse raids in here. I wanted to go on a warehouse raid just to be the videographer, not necessarily take games home, but I wanted to basically go and mark out.
Try to find one where they have air conditioning. That's going to be the best, or go in the fall. Some of the ones I've been on, it's just been so hot in there. It's like, you're excited to see stuff, but even the Moonwalker, you're like, eh.
It's like some other games.
Yeah, we got like repair videos, and that it covers classic games. I don't have any black and white or any that far back, but all the way until present day. And because I've worked at several new and current arcades that aren't retro arcades, and so I covered all the stuff there. Skee Ball, claw machines, all the Raw Thrills games. I mean, you name it, Sing It, and Spin and Win, all that crap. But
you also
they all
fixed
break
Windows
down just
10 apparently, which is my job. This right here.
How to fix?
This is
Oh yeah, that was actually something wrong with my computer. So like anything that I'm gonna do, I'll just go ahead and film it and throw it on there because I'm gonna help myself, and I know I'm gonna end up having to do it again. So might as well upload it, and then I can come back and it's on the internet for myself. It's much easier for me to teach myself how I did something than for me to go and watch 8 or 10 other people try to do it and not understand their accent or
well, this isn't
get the
actually
gist
your
of what
video.
they're
This
talking
is
about.
from
Oh yeah, it might be one I added on accident.
yeah.
I
This
fat
was added
fingered.
to a playlist. Yeah, that's added to a playlist. Gosh, your most popular video, and I was watching that earlier. These two right here, the coin pushers.
Yeah, how to win. And
Those
I
two
really do
videos.
have my own strategy.
Yes. Throw in more than one coin. Throw in. Oh, now you've got somebody crashing your stream. I see that tail there. Let's see. Let's meet this. Let's meet this kitty right here. Go ahead.
This is Shelby. She looks like
Shelby.
Bugs Bunny with a mustache. Look right here. There you go.
Hi, Shelby.
Say hi. Say hi. See?
Yeah. Oh, the cats aren't in the
down
room.
Come here.
I have two cats
This
that
one's
crash my stream.
St. Louis's finest. This is Nellie.
Hi, Nellie.
She's the new one. Both of those were rescued out of dumpsters. So
Oh my goodness.
Whoever keeps throwing their cats in the dumpsters, just go ahead and talk to me first, please.
And this goofball right here.
Oh,
This is Cody.
we got a
He's
great
been crying his eyes out because he wants to go outside, and he's an indoor cat, and he's got to be on the leash because keep
I have
him
the
from.
problem when I'm filming. I'm just in a room by myself and I'm talking out loud. The cats have no idea what I'm doing. They just think I'm talking to them or I'm crazy. So they just meow back and have conversations with me. I'm trying to kick them and shut them up. I'm like, you're ruining my audio. You sound like you're in heat or something. Like, shut up. It's always great for the outtakes.
Right. Well, let's talk about you. The early days. What got you into gaming, or what was the hook? Because Space Invaders was my hook.
Well, I was always a video game player. My parents actually had an Atari and like 10 or 20 games when I was born. So my mom used to get up early for work and she'd play Space Invaders for an hour before she would start getting ready to go to work. So I kind of learned from them, and it's always been like in my blood, and it was always there. I grew up in a haunted house, and it was really scary at night. And so what I would do is I would just take my blanket and I would throw it over the TV, and I would sit there and play my Nintendo underneath the blanket, so I couldn't see what was going on outside of the blanket and in my vision, because there's some scary stuff going on there.
Wait a minute. You lived in a haunted house.
Yeah.
Not something that was staged, but a true haunted house.
Right. And like, my dad wasn't a believer, but he definitely had some experiences. My mom had a lot. Me and my brother had a lot. My aunt even had some. My mom and my aunt were sleeping in separate bedrooms, and they both felt somebody like rush past them. And so they got up, it was like midnight. They got up and they met each other like halfway from where they were sleeping. Like, what are you doing running through my room? And they're like, what are you talking about? So like somebody at the same time or that fast ran past both of them. And it was heavy enough that you could feel it in the floor when something would go by. It's not like it's something just floating by and you would notice if you weren't looking. You feel it like there's a presence. And another thing that would happen a lot is we'd be sitting on the couch watching TV or movies or something, and you'd feel something sit down next to you, and you'd actually see the couch cushion sink down like something was actually there. A couple times it laid down on the couch, and my mom said once it laid down on the couch when we had company, and it started snoring, and the company was like, exit stage left. But there was multiple spirits in that house. There was, I think, the spirit of an old man, and he's the one that would sit by us, and we'd have those interactions with. And I think there was like a spirit of a kid or maybe a teenager, and then there was something freaking evil in there, and that's what would terrify me at night. Like, I couldn't see anything, but I could just envision this god awful face just right here, just making as many scary faces at me as I could, and I just couldn't see it. And so I just be like, no, we're going with a blanket and a Nintendo all night. And so I still
Where is
play
this
video
house?
games and work on stuff. It's in North County, St. Louis. It's off St. Charles Rock Road.
Has any ghost hunters gone to that place to check it out and see if they can, I guess,
don't
bust
know.
a ghost?
I don't even know if like anybody else has had experiences in that house other than us and like me and my family. We haven't talked to anybody. We were really friendly with all the neighbors, but we kind of all left the neighborhood within 1 or 2 years of each other, and never got any backstory on it. I did see it on Zillow for sale, and it was like $26,000, which is, I mean, cake. I wish I would have bought it. I think I looked it up, and payments were like $80 a month or something ridiculous like that if you had a 30-year loan. Is that me that's making that noise?
I have no idea.
Is your air
It's
conditioning
barely
on?
audible. I'm not even concerned about it. I'm not even
It
concerned
was,
about it.
there was definitely something evil in there too, because it wouldn't be like you were just experiencing a haunting where the old man or the other person felt like maybe they were just kind of like a residual energy that was just going through the same motions every day, or they weren't really interacting with us. But whatever the evil thing was, it would like flip lights on and off. It would move stuff in front of you, or like try to get a reaction out of you. So to describe it, it sounds like a poltergeist or a poltergeist activity, but it was, I never felt like that was really what it was, because there were so many spirits. It was super scary.
Did you ever catch them actually playing your Nintendo?
No. I would have joined. I mean, if they would have been cool and just want to play some games, I'm always down for a play or two, especially at that age. I had a little brother 3 years younger than me, and he was terrible at Nintendo. He ended up getting a Sega Genesis, and he was okay at that because I wasn't dominating on him all the time. And so he went Sega and I went Nintendo. It's kind of always stayed that way. But
Do you know I guess I'm
to
now
finish
for some
my
reason.
gaming history, that was really like what sunk in gaming for me. Was every night it was Zelda or Final Fantasy or something that I could get lost in the game. Not so much like a platformer or something that was really tedious on controls. I needed something with some story and some legs on it, so that I wasn't focused on what was going on outside of my blanket, because I could hear the door opening and shutting, and the lights would go on and off. And of course, my parents would yell at me for turning the light on and off all the time. And if you get into that game, though, I just get in the zone, and then I didn't have to worry about that crap anymore. So that really sunk gaming in at an early age. And then I'd say about 7 or 8 years old, my dad bought a Strikes and Spares pinball machine for $50 out of a gas station. And that was in our living room. And so me and my mom would just constantly play that. And so that got me definitely hooked on pinball. And, this is what, like mid 80s or so, mid late 80s, and arcade games were just everywhere. Every gas station.
Yeah, try to get them cheap now.
Like Famous Bar actually had a little, I think now it's a coat room, or it's something really weird. You can still go there in the spot where the arcade was and all the games were lined up, but they used it for something else for 10, 15 years, and now that is obsolete too. But
yeah,
just everywhere
I get it.
you see games. Parents
We'll
are
just
like,
have
make you
to
go
tolerate
somewhere.
these cats. So I want to Wow.
I heard if you give them their own laptop that they'll leave you alone. So just 3D print them like a little mini laptop.
Yeah. Cats. Well, that's my older one back there,
They're bringing toys.
sitting in the cat bed. She's the elderly one who has to deal with that troublesome yellow one. But anyway, I have to ask a little bit more about the haunted house.
Okay. Hang on.
Did you? Well, while you're situating, we'll get the question out. Did you happen to find out anything about the previous owners, or at least?
Hang on one second. I'm gonna grab a soda. I got cotton mouth real bad. I don't know why that is. All right, what were you saying?
Prepared. Last question about the haunted house. Did you find out anything about the previous owners or anything that happened in the house prior to your ownership?
No. Once we hit the internet age, I've looked, and I probably would do better if I went back to the old like microfiche system they had for like St. Louis Post-Dispatch and the other big newspapers in the area. I think I would have better luck there because the house was at least built in the 50s or the 40s or something like that. It's a little old brick house. And finding records in the news, like the daily paper, is pretty tough nowadays.
Yeah.
They didn't archive very well that far back. And like I said, it's probably on microfiche somewhere, and you can probably still find it. It's just going to take a little detective work. But yeah, I never found anything out there. When we first moved in, there's kind of like a bookcase in the basement. And if you get really low down on the floor, the bottom shelf of the bookcase, if you could stick your head in and look to the right, and it was a little passageway, which maybe it was extra storage or something. But when you're a little kid, it was like, oh my God, we found a secret passage in our house. And it went down and then made a right angle and went underneath what was the brick front porch. So it's kind of like a little cellar or an extra way to get to the cellar. So it had to be, like for storing goods and keeping it cold and stuff. But I always thought that was cool. And that area there, it was to finish my original part. My mom said that somebody had spray painted on the walls, "They are here and we are watching you," or something like that. And so that tells me they were having something happen before us, or, maybe they were doing some kind of rituals and they brought something in. I don't know, but they knew before us. And I'm probably willing to bet that somebody knew afterwards too.
Yeah, and somebody was watching a particular movie and then started, let's imitate what Heather O'Rourke did.
And that happened. We definitely watched that movie on the floor model Zenith right there in the living room, where they walked around and harassed us. Like I said, the other two, it just seemed like they were just doing their thing, whether we were there or not. But the other one was definitely sinister. It was like it had an agenda. And it would scare me. It didn't really mess with my brother too much. I don't know. Maybe he just couldn't. He wasn't on that wavelength where he was able to sense it or hear it or see it. Because I saw like a face looking in the window several times, and nobody else saw it. I think I'm the only one that saw anything. But we all had experiences. Like, you would walk out of the kitchen and then hear something, and you walk back in, just like in the movies and in TV, all the cabinets would be open and all the chairs would be flipped over. You'd go to get somebody and bring them back, and everything would be back perfect again. It's like,
yeah. All right. Going back to the gaming scene, and I think I'm going to go. I don't know how long we're going to get through, since we had the late start and everything.
We can always do it. You can edit it up and chop it up and use it later.
Yeah, we'll probably have to have you back. So playing the consoles, what was the first arcade game you got into?
Let's see. So I was heavy into consoles until junior year, and then I decided that chasing tail was way more fun than playing video games and sitting at home. And they kind of don't go hand in hand. It's one or the other at that age. You can't sit around and find women. So I didn't play anything, I guess, until maybe late 20s or something. I started getting bored and drunk and like, what am I going to do? And start pulling out the Nintendo, and all the way through, like I worked at a lot of different retail places too. And I would always go into their stock rooms and just search all over and look for the old video games and systems. And so I got like a brand new Sega CD in box, like almost all of the Sega CD games that were carried by Venture, which if you remember that store.
Yeah.
What else?
That's a lot. By the way, this week they did announce the last Kmart, full-size Kmart was closing.
I heard that. I didn't even know there was still one around.
There's very few, if any. It's like Sears and Kmart had a marriage, and that did not go well. Sears could have been just like Amazon, but they chose the wrong path, and then they got a CEO who just wanted to manage its decline for some sort of hedge fund. It's like, didn't care about the company. He's just making money on, and I don't even get the logic of this. How do you make money on a demise of a company that you own? That does not make any sense.
Isn't that like the game?
Unless you're trying to sell the real estate.
That's what McDonald's does.
Yeah, but they build more stores, and so does Dollar General. It's like
they buy the land and then rent it to the franchisee. So they're more of a property owner. But my arcade link was, I think, like a lot of people, was King of Kong. I saw King of Kong, and there were so many people in that movie that had arcade games in their house. And to me, that, only what's his name from Silver Spoons could, actually have arcade games in his house. I knew a couple people that had
Rob Schneider.
They were super rich though, and
yeah.
So I'm like, okay, all these guys, and a lot of them are like 20, 25, so I'm going to get a couple games. I owned my own business, and it was a auto detail shop. So I had like a little waiting room and spot where it would be a good place for games. And I wanted a coin pusher. I knew they made money. So I just started looking. And when you first get into the hobby, you get that, you get the bug, but it's like, buy everything. Like, I'm going to buy every broken machine. Everything is full of parts that I can use for later. Like, I don't care if this is overpriced, underpriced. It's like, and St. Louis, it's dog eat dog. Any game that gets put on there, the people that put it up, they're going to get 50 phone calls. 75% of them are probably going to be BS, and the people are just tire kickers, and they just want to know an arcade game. But the rest of them are cutthroat people, just like me, just like my buddy Mike. I mean, luckily we all know each other, and we're pretty cool to each other. But there are some outsiders that, we'll just go, hey, I'll give you an extra $300 for that machine if you break your agreement with the original guy, which is low in my book. You get that Tapper deal for $100, and then some guy goes, "Oh, I'll give you $800 for it." We're like, "Oh, sorry, I sold it for $800." That happens every day.
Yeah, do that to just put it on freaking eBay and just have a bid on it.
That's the way to go. But then you got to worry about shipping and all that, and you got to pay your eBay fees, and you end up losing 15%, which on an arcade game is quite a bit. Yeah. Especially if it was like a Tapper or something. But yeah, I just kept looking, and I couldn't get one. I had all kinds of cool stuff in my shop. I was offering, I actually had an ad running, will trade auto detail work for broken arcade games. And I knew I wasn't going to get a pinball offered to me. I felt like that was too much. Some of the details I did on high-end sports cars would run $300-400. So these people would still bring me like a broken Golden Tee. I wouldn't give them a $400 detail, but I'd do a really good job on it. And we both got something that was beneficial for us. I had 1,700 square feet of space that I needed to clean cars in, but as long as it wasn't raining, I could do that outside too. So I had, one short bay and then 2 long bays that were like triple bays. And by the end of the time when I left the shop, I only had the little short bay that was actually open to detail cars. Everything else was my like lineup of games that I had working. And then the rest of it was just an arcade boneyard because I literally just bought everything I could get my hands on. I treated it like Legos. So it was like, oh, I want to play Mortal Kombat. We'll make this one. What was it? It was a Zaxxon cabinet. Because you open the Zaxxon cabinet from the front and you can work on everything kind of like where you're sitting in a chair. It's all really handy. So I would just turn that into whatever game I wanted to play for the day, or put in a 60-in-1 or 19-in-1. Same thing with that cabinet. You can pull the monitor out and turn it sideways and put it back so you can play horizontal and vertical. It's really, really nice cab if you're wanting to do that kind of thing with. Only bad thing is it's the Sega Gremlin cabinets, and if you even sneeze next to one, they swell like this big and gain 80 pounds. So that's the only bad thing about those. But yeah,
I've never seen an arcade cabinet where you can just spin the monitor 90 degrees
You can't
without.
spin it. You have to like undo the bolts, but and I do undo the wiring too. But you don't necessarily have to undo the wiring. But you undo the bolts, and it's in a wooden frame, and then and it has 2 handholds. And you pull out the handholds, and then you can turn it, and then you put it it's perfectly square, the piece of wood is, and then you put it right back onto those same bolts, and then you just tighten it back up. It's super handy. But I think that's why so many of those just were instantly converted. I mean, nothing against Zaxxon, but it's not the greatest unless you like that 3/4 angle. But yeah, my first game, I finally found a guy. He was an old man. I think he was like 65 or so. And he had a couple storage units, and he had a working Space Invaders in one of them. And I think he had it listed for like $300 for months and months and months. And then one day I looked, and he had just put it to 150. And I messaged him, and I was like, hey, I'll trade you a Android tablet. He's like, oh, a tablet? He's like, how new is it? I was like, well, it's new out of the box, but it's a couple years old or whatever model. He's like, deal. I was like, really? Because I think it was worth like 35 or 40 bucks or something. You know, it was a little 7-inch tablet, and not that big of a deal. And so we went and we got it, and I was just over the moon. I was so happy. We got it home. Me and 2 of my buddies like got it all working. I don't know how many games you can really sit around and play Space Invaders. We got like 2 or 3 rounds in, wrote down our high scores, and then we just sat there and got drunk and stared at it like, wow, we got an arcade game. Now we got to get more. We got to get more arcade games. And that's how it starts. Within 3 months, the whole freaking shop was full. But I got one deal, though, with my ad. A guy called, and he goes, hey, I'm the owner of the drive-in in Potosi, Missouri. They have like 4 screens or something, and they still have it. They're still open. They use digital projectors now. But he was like, we used to have a really big arcade here, and I still have all the games. They don't work, most of them. He's like, if you want to just like wash my car real quick, bring a trailer or bring a buddy and a truck and a trailer. He's like, you can have them all. And I was like, all of them? He was like, yeah. So me and another arcade guy, Chris Riley, that's local, we went, and I think we made like 3 trips. We had a full-size truck, and we rented a full-size trailer. And it was just like not like an enclosed trailer, just like a flatbed trailer.
What year was this?
We made 3 trips down there. I got a free Tron. We had to leave so much stuff too. We left all the redemption stuff, a bunch of claw machines. This had to be around 2014, 15, something like that. Maybe 2014 or 15.
Oh my gosh.
And what they did is they cleared out that space, and then they put in a little snack bar, and then they hired a company to bring in all new games. But that room was full of games and dead games. Then they took us to outbuildings where there was like just a little shed that was like almost fallen over, and you couldn't get the door to open anymore. And you look through and be like, whoa, there's a venture back there and a RoboCop, and it was like that was like the first raid I would say I got to go on, but it was a free for all. It was just come and get it.
My
which
God.
was better.
Okay. I had some arcade games that were in the base of my house. If I wanted any more, or if I wanted to trade them out, they had to come out of the basement because I don't want to carry anything up and down stairs, especially an arcade cabinet, because they're freaking heavy. And plus, you gotta
Take
be
the monitor
careful.
out first.
Yeah, that's another thing. If I could get the monitor out, but a few of them that I owned, I could not figure out how to safely get the monitor out because the way I couldn't figure out how they were bolted in. And I had to carry them out with the monitor still bolted in.
That's
I
another
didn't
thing
know.
too, is if you don't know what you're doing, the monitors are really scary because that's the only thing in the arcade game that you're told that this could kill you. It could shock you and give you a heart attack and kill you.
Well, yeah.
I'm sure it could most people, but I've been zapped by them several times.
Well, you don't want to touch. Yeah, you don't want to touch the backside of the monitor. Definitely. And I'm real
good
careful
buddy and YouTube
touching.
fellow creator. I was capping a chassis for him, and I handed him my soldering iron plug. I was like, "Hey, plug that in the wall for me." And he was like, "All right." And he was clearing crap out of the way, and he plugged in. The chassis had an actual plug on it, so it must have been like a Nintendo or one of those. And he plugged the chassis into the wall while I had it in my lap, and the suction cup was just like laying across my leg. I was wearing shorts, and it just went pow and just jumped off my leg. That stung. That hurt pretty good, but at least it didn't like grab a hold of me, and that would have been bad. But yeah, he didn't really think that was too bad. It was pretty funny for him.
Okay, I've watched these videos by John Jacobson when he's doing monitor repairs, and he has something to discharge the monitor, which he does before he goes working on it. And like,
yeah, he's got the screwdriver. It's like, where are my hands at?
Yeah, and taped with duct tape. It has a glove on, rubber glove on. It's like
standing way back here.
Yeah.
I watched that Chris Riley guy that went on that raid with me just walk up and go and just pop them off and go, it ain't a big deal. But if they've been sitting there a while, they probably don't have a charge. But I think he likes to be
The other
brave.
thing is the doggone vertical, horizontal brightness contrasts are all back there. It's like, now I need a mirror to actually see what I'm touching because I don't want to touch the wrong spot and then get zapped.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen how I do it.
unplugged.
I put a mirror right in front of the monitor, and then
Yeah.
I work from behind it and I adjust in the mirror.
Yeah.
But that's when I have it, on the bench. It's much easier to do. If you got it in the game, you're stuck like reaching around and it's really bad. I mean, you have your brightness, your contrast, your holds, and all that. But then, like, if the colors are way off or they're bleeding through, you got the pots on the neck board that are much tougher to get to because it's like say it's like this, and then the pot's here, and you're reaching around blind trying to grab stuff, and all this stuff can shock you. So that's tough, and you could break the neck. The neck's kind of fragile. Like kick that. And then if
the
it's
neck is pretty
convergence, or if your blue is separating from your red and your green, then you have to get on the purity rings, and that's almost like a forgotten art. It's like you have to just do it and learn it. Nobody is going to be able to tell you how to do it and teach you. They're like magnetic, and when then you go apart and close to each other, it makes them go like this. That's the most I can tell you. You're just going to have to get in there and wing it. Mark where it was before, but if it looked bad before, what's the point of marking it to that point? You know what I mean?
Now, how did you get into repairing these things?
What's that?
How did you get into repairing these things instead of just playing them?
That's all just me trying to find any game I could. I had money, I had a business, but I always put my money back into the business so that in theory, get bigger and better and make more money. And I guess it has in a way. I just switched businesses. But I always look for broken games. Broken games are $50 or free, all the way up to, maybe $200-$300. You'll see them for a lot more expensive than that, but I would never pay that much. But I always go for the broke ones. And my thought was, I own this detail shop. What I'll do is I'll just take it all the way apart. I'll clean it immaculately, clean all the connectors, make sure everything's plugged back in. And probably my first 3 or 4 games, I fixed that way. And so I was on a run. I was super scared of monitors. I didn't want to use a soldering iron, or I didn't know how to use a meter. I basically listened to the Arcade Repair Tips guys. They have a question and answer podcast, and they've had it for years and years. So there's just hundreds of episodes, and they're like 3 hours long, where people write in questions, and they'll be like, this is what's wrong with this game. And then they'll talk it out, and between the two of them, give the person a pretty good answer of what's wrong. So I would listen to this while I was working on cars or on games, and then I literally would put in headphones and listen to it while I would sleep every single night. And it got to the point where, like on Facebook and stuff, I could see people asking, oh, what should I do? How would I fix this? And I could tell them exactly how to fix it, because I've heard it over and over and over again. It's the same problem that keeps happening to this game or that game, but I have no idea what the words that are coming out of my mouth meant. Like I didn't know what these cap kits were. I thought the cap kits were those stupid things you see, them caps that people screw on when they're splicing wires that look hideous. I thought that was a cap kit. I was like, oh, I could do that. That doesn't seem hard. But cap kits really are pretty easy. You just have to have some initiative and someone show you.
I would have to have somebody, because the games had to come out of the basement. Obviously, I couldn't take the monitor out of my Cubert, or not the Cubert. Well, it was a Cubert. I could never figure out how to take the monitor out of it safely. Rating 2, I took the monitor out once, but it had been years since I did it the first time and did not remember how it was mounted in there. So I did not take the monitor out. Now it takes a while for that monitor to come into focus when you turn it on.
I could help you with that.
Yeah, I probably do need a little help with that, but I don't want to, am I going to have to
should
do
just be
surgery?
You just adjust that focus knob. Like I said, put a mirror somewhere where you can see it.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
But get it right where you want it, and then turn it off, and then hot glue around that knob. Like normally I would say just replace that, but so many times I've hot glued a drifting knob where the focus will go out or the brightness will go in and out.
I don't think it's drifting at all. The knob's in the same position. It's just I think there's an issue with the monitor where it's out of focus when you turn the machine on, and then when it's been sitting there a while it comes into focus.
That could be your B plus, which cap kit will take care of that usually.
Yeah, someone's got to teach me
a
how
lot
to
of
do
times,
that.
like if you have one and it takes a long time for the image to appear at all, that'll be your B plus is low too.
Yeah.
All this stuff I learned trial and error.
And I don't want.
I didn't even know how to wire a 2-wired switch. I had no idea what I was doing when I started. I literally would just watch 4 people do it, and then I would go and screw it up on my own game and go, crap. And then I would go back to YouTube, figure out what the hell I did wrong, undo that, and then learn how to really fix it right the second time. But that's how I've done it my whole career. And I didn't know anything. I just had the boneyard of games and an internet connection, practiced. And there was one retro arcade that was here local in St. Louis. And I went down there and I was like, hey, can I come in one day a week and just work on the games that are broken just for the experience? And I don't know if you know Ralph Tribble. He worked there at the time, and he was the tech, and he's been a tech for a long time. He's worked for Incredible Pizza, and I think he's at Round One now. But anyway, I was like, I can learn from him, and finding somebody to learn from was going to be a huge challenge too. And still was detailing cars so that I still had an income, didn't go full time on this. And then that little arcade that I was just going down there on Saturdays when it was really busy helping people, and then like just fixing buttons and joysticks and like sound and like super important stuff. And if the game was really bad, you just wheel it off and wheel something else on. But they ended up moving. They were like an hour and 15 minutes away. I would drive on a Saturday and then come back, and for free, like every now and then he would give me some money, some pocket money, and it wasn't part of the deal. But they moved literally like 15, 20 minutes away, and it was going to be a location that was like 3 times the size. And so I was like, yeah, I'm interested. He's like, I'll hire you on full time. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, I'd rather do this than like work in the heat, or I've had so many crappy jobs. It was like, this is like a dream job. In my mind, it's just sitting around and playing games all day. And most people that I know, when they hear what I do, they think that's what I do. And to an extent, it is. I mean, you have to play the games and make sure they work right. And if you work at a huge arcade, you got to go through the whole arcade every couple of days and make sure everything works. It's just part of it.
Well, imagine working for the Galloping Ghost up in Chicago.
Oh, I volunteered every time I go up there. I'm like, I have tools with me. I'm like, let me just fix the voltage on that Hubert that keeps resetting over there, or whatever I see going on. A lot of times it's just little monitor adjustments would go a long way, but there's so many games, it would take 5 guys with my knowledge a weekend to adjust every monitor and still probably not even get halfway done. That's a lot of work.
I keep getting asked how many techs are running around that arcade. I don't know the answer. I know Doug Fox is the primary tech, but how many other techs are working with him? Well, Doc Matt can fix a game, so can Tommy Waffles can. I don't know who else. Like Jeremiah can, but I don't know who all the active techs are, and there's so many games. And
I think they should just let us traveling techs, whenever we're in town, just hop in there and roll our sleeves up.
They'd have to have a freaking army. They'd have to have a freaking army to work on every game.
10 or 12 games every time I come through, and so does every other traveling arcade tech that comes through and hangs out. They'll get it caught up pretty quick. Once you get them all capped and really well taken care of, all the voltages are good. You don't have like a bunch of fuzz and dirt and dust inside your power supply. They'll last a long time, without really anything.
I've been waiting for them to fully fix the doggone Subrock 3D, which one of the colors doesn't display correctly at all. It's like
submarine game.
Yes. Yeah. It's 3D submarine. One of the button caps broke off. They haven't replaced that. That's been sitting there for years. It's like, I could raise my house high a lot higher if they would, replace the button and then fix the screen colors. But it's been sitting like that for several years. I don't know if they're ever going to do it.
Did you ever get a chance to watch that video you were in of mine?
Which one was that one?
Whenever I was at Galloping Ghost. Do you remember?
Well,
me and my roommate, we were trying to cover it, and there was so much, and I think we got there late. It was already dark, and I don't know. They might be open till midnight or something like that. But we ran through trying to get footage, and I kept running into you there, and we were having good chats. And one of the cigarette breaks, you were like, "Hey, let's play this game against each other." And I was like, "Cool, I'll film it." And then you just kind of tagged along with us, and you had great history because you knew the arcade, you knew what they had done to the game, so you gave us the great insight on what was up with the Beavis and Butthead that they had up there. Star Wars games at the time. I think there was a Japanese Star Wars that I hadn't seen. I think they had a Battle Pod. But yeah, it was great to have you there. And then I just kind of sprinkled you all the way through. We played
Finally fixed this
Three
one
Stooges against each other.
Yeah.
I didn't even get all of our footage up that I had. I had so much footage. I had 2 phones
Here we
going.
go.
Yeah, I think that one's my shorter one. Yeah, this one's all you and me.
I gotta make sure there's audio coming through because when the headphones are on, it seems like the audio gets disabled. Make sure that I'm hearing
I
audio out of
kind of
this
hear
thing.
it.
It's not coming through.
Barely
Figures.
hear it. There it is.
Oh, I hate these. I don't know why. But when I have the headphones on, or at least plugged into the jack, any video I play on the browser doesn't come through. I don't get it. And that's going to require a bunch of edits on the
For me,
backside of this.
when I was up at Galaxy Coast, to play Three Stooges, to play Beavis and Butthead, what were there, like 8 or 12 tops Beavis and Butthead cabinets made? There wasn't very many.
A dozen.
So it was
Not a dozen.
a huge thing for me to get there, play the game personally, but then to get some footage and stuff. But I didn't have any of the history of the games. I had read it all, but I didn't have it fresh in my mind. And so you there and being the second player and us bullshitting about the game and you running through the history was awesome. I couldn't have asked for a better player too for that kind of stuff. And
yeah, I learned all this over time, and Doc Beck would tell the stories every time he reveals a game on the arcade floor. And
on Mondays, right?
every Monday, a new game goes on the floor. I don't
How
know
many
where
are they up to? 1,400 or something?
No, they finally reached 1,000 on August the 12th. Game 1000 was Road Blaster, which was a Laserdisc game that Data East put out, also known as Road Avenger and maybe a few other titles. It was Laserdisc.
Did they ever open the second building or second area to have pinball in?
Galvin Ghost Pinball is in a separate building, yep.
Cool. They were just starting about that.
See, this was 4 years ago. I think they had the pinball place open.
Maybe they did, and we just didn't go down there because it was so late that we were there, and we didn't even get a chance to really play. There's so many games. I mean, you could spend all day in there and not really experience everything.
Well, every newcomer that goes to Galvin Ghost Arcade for the first time, I pretty much tell them they need 2 full days to get the full experience, and now it's probably 3 days.
Yeah, at least they sell food and stuff there. And like most of the arcades I worked at, you have to leave and come back. It's hard to talk yourself into coming back.
To get a few drinks.
Yeah.
I usually take a cooler up there and then just run outside and get a drink or eat something when I'm running out of energy and stuff. Let's go to
the Beavis and Butthead video I just think the game's a lot cooler than the Three Stooges. I'm a Stooges fan, so I liked that, and it was cool to play it. But this game was amazing and so much better than I expected. Because you hear it's kind of incomplete. Well, there's one complete version, but it's a little hacky. This was great.
So they have 2 versions of this game because they came on 3DO discs.
Mm-hmm.
It runs on a 3DO hardware.
Because they got this game and it didn't work originally, right? And they had to use a 3DO to get it going. That's what I heard. Or maybe you say this in the video.
They had to find a 3DO, and then they had to hack it a little bit to get it to play.
It's great.
We have the version in there that I think is a little more glitchy and harder because the starting level is not the same. Also, the bonus levels allow you to replay them repeatedly.
Over and over?
Version loaded in didn't do that. And of course, because the 2 versions of Beavis and Butthead play differently, the scoring is not going to be.
What put the kibosh on this game? Was it the frog baseball and all that? Because this animation looks older than that or newer than that. Was it?
What
Was
caused
this-
them to cancel this game?
Yeah,
I
was
have
it
no idea.
Atari going out of business or Midway going out of business or something? I just see this game would have been huge.
Who put this one out? Is it Atari?
I think it's Atari or Midway. I could be getting Midway mixed in because there's that NBA Jam style baseball game that I'm wanting to put together.
That one. I'm going to have to look that one up. Well, I can look it up.
It probably says in the description.
No. Let me see. Negative.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's a weird cabinet too, so it's not one you can identify by the cabinet itself. I was thinking it was Atari.
It probably. Well, I'm going to guess it. What probably is Atari, but why they were.
Which
Why didn't-
that answers my own question. If it was Atari, that's why it didn't get put out.
All right. Oh, good grief. I'm trying to go to arcade.com, which
My
would tell me
phone.
this. It's not even loading the right page up correctly. Oh, screw it. I won't deal with it. Oh, God. I think
Yeah,
it was.
We walked around. We played a bunch of games, a bunch of rare things. Played that Exterminator game. I like that one. You played a couple really cool black and white games.
Yeah.
Played Chiller, which I had never played that before. I'd never actually played any of that company's games.
Well, this gentleman's wearing your shirt. MattyMo's Arcade. I don't know who this one is. Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
I volunteered to hold your camera. That's right. That's because that's what I do. I am a pretty good cameraman anyway.
Yeah, because you walked up to me at first and you were like, "Hey, are you affiliated with MattyMo's Arcade?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm MattyMo," and you were like, because it was dark outside, you're not getting a good look, and you're like, "Oh, I guess you are. All right, I'll let you be him."
I like crashing other people's streams, I guess.
Oh, it was great.
I mean, I'm a semi-famous gamer and all. Actually, you know what? You probably didn't see this earlier because you were delayed. Throw this back up here.
Did you get an award?
I don't know if you could be kind of, sort of. This is a page from the Guinness World Book of Records Gamers Edition 2025. I got in on page 71. There's me right here holding the key.
Oh, right here. Okay,
That's from
that was in '91.
19. Well, New Year's weekend 92, technically, because
Wow.
the calendar just turned.
So where was this at? Universal Studios, or was this?
No, it was Disney's Village Marketplace.
Wow.
So that is my 20-year-old self. My dad holding my trophy way up in the air, and people were afraid they're going to drop it. And of course, me on the moment of victory.
So I never saw any of these video game competitions anywhere. I never saw Fred Savage. I never saw the little redheaded girl. I never saw Tobey Maguire, any of them. I never went to Universal Studios either. I guess they really did have them.
But you had to be in college to enter this, and the Nintendo trucks had to come to your campus.
Oh, wow. So I guess if they came to your campus, there were still probably a lot of people playing.
Yes.
Was it arcade games, or were you guys playing consoles?
No, it was no, it was these three up here.
Mario 3, Dr. Mario, and Pinball.
Dr. Mario, yep. This
That's a pretty good
this
thing.
right here is wrong. It's supposed to be. This was not the Super Nintendo cart. This is 8-bit. They just threw the wrong. They threw the wrong graphic on here. I'm not going to tell them. I'll let them figure it out or let others do it. But there was a Super Nintendo Campus Challenge I did not get to enter it because I graduated, but they didn't go back to SIU,
I was
Carbondale.
just a wee guy.
And plus, not only did they not go to Carbondale, they didn't even crown an overall campus winner. They just took all the campus winners, threw them all in a hat, and then drew somebody's name out for $10,000.
Did you get the 10 grand?
No, because I was out. I didn't get to participate in the Super Nintendo campus.
Okay. I was like, if you got the key, you had to get the 10 grand, right? Come on.
I had a car. I mean, I had the car, which I still have in my garage.
Well, that's cool.
Shocking. I don't know why I still have it, because I've had issues with it. I need to drive it again because, you know.
I said I was going to keep every game, and I have flipped almost every single game I've owned. I have I have a Mario Brothers wide body. I bought 2 Strikes and Spares pinball machines, just like the one my dad had when I was younger. And I took 2 broken ones and made one really nice one out of it. I still have that. And then somebody gave me a free Frogger like a year and a half ago that didn't work. So I went and picked it up and gave him $20. I was like, here, anytime you find a free arcade game, I'll give you $20. And I had it working that day.
It was fairly recent too.
That's a great thing about knowing how to fix them is buying them cheap and just fixing them, and you have really cool games. It didn't cost anything.
Here it is. I found it. Let me see. Get the window back up on the screen. Oh, this is it. It was missing it's missing the marquee.
Yeah, it's missing the marquee. It's kind of chewed up at the top, right there.
Yeah. And then the back door was missing, and I don't know what. I don't know. This was a special effect or something because you this tablet or whatever.
I didn't clear the green off the green screen as well as I would have liked to. Now I could have done it better. This took me hours and hours and hours because I didn't know what I was doing. But I was like, this would just look cool. It does look cool though.
It's like I was trying to figure out how did you do that? So, yeah, I guess it would have to be a green screen.
So yeah, what I did is I put a green screen just on the iPad, like a picture. And so I had the green screen on the iPad, and I took a picture of the game with the back off before I started and left the camera exactly where it was, and then started videoing from there. And so I put the overlay I put the video over the picture of the inside of the game. And then when I hold up the green screen, you don't see the green screen. You see the picture that's actually underneath the video. Pretty cool effect. It took me a lot to figure out how to actually make that work. But I like doing all that stuff. So that's why I put it in there, even though it took so long. It's like, okay, I know this is going to be stupid for using it in this video, but at some point I'll be able to use it and it'll be a cool effect for something. It's all kind of trial and error. I didn't know anything. I started doing YouTube videos all about the same time. I saw other kids that were like 18 and 19, and they're just playing claw machines and winning like plush animals and stuff. And these kids are buying their own games. They got their own arcade locations, race cars. And I'm like, what the hell? I mean, I'm like 25. I got better like inside knowledge of this stuff. I'm like working at these places. I definitely could have better videos than them. And I won't go, hey guys, like John. So I'll never be like viral. I just have my same monotone voice cracking jokes, but I'll tell you how to fix something. I'll give you the good info.
John Jacobson retired, I think. It's like he only does his podcast. He hasn't done any.
He has to do
of his arcade.
You have to do one video every 6 months that's monetized, or they could remove your monetization, which they're maybe not going to remove it. They're going to leave it monetized. They're just not going to give you the money anymore if you don't continue to put out content and participate. That was the rule when he first stopped doing videos. because he had mentioned something about that, and then I looked into the kind of rules of it when I wanted to take a break. And I think it's 6 months. So every 6 months you need to put out like a 3-minute video and monetize it just to keep your money coming in.
YouTube is. I've never monetized my videos on YouTube because it's a freaking joke. I used other streaming services.
I get a paycheck every month.
Hey.
21st.
Well, the problem is every daggum video I post, it gets flagged for some sort of music, any music track, even if it's public, it's royalty free. It's like
you should have called me. I can tell you how to play any song you want on your video. It's really easy.
Oh, you have to speed it up.
It's a big secret. I actually take it and take the speed. I'll take the, let's say I want Ice Ice Baby from Vanilla Ice, right? I'll go and I'll screen record that video off of YouTube, and then I'll overlay it over the top of my video. Then I'll, what do they call it whenever you pull the audio out? I'll separate the audio from the video. Then I delete the video, and then I take the speed of the audio and I make it 0.9 instead of 1. So it's just a little bit slower. Unless it's like a chick singing a really fast poppy song, then I'll go 1.1 with her. But if you're not at 1, you're at 9.9 or you're at 1.1 speed, you cruise right through most of the copyright checks. I use that all the time.
In theory, though, because I don't know
well,
if that
it works 100% on TikTok. On Facebook, if it's like Star Wars, there's not much you can do to the audio, and they're still going to flag it.
Well, then the other problem is if you're like live streaming a Star Wars game, you're going to get
that
dinged,
sucks. That sucks.
which is ridiculous.
I've had Namco get me to take down a video just because there's the sound of Pac-Man dying in the end. I'm like, dude, I work in an arcade. I'm showing people how to fix your games for free. I'm like, there are Namco games in our arcade. You're gonna hear track sounds. I'm like, I don't know what you want to do. Are you gonna go through and every birthday party that was recorded at our arcade, are you gonna have them take down their video because Pac-Man died in the back? They finally let it go.
This is all gameplay video, so I'm going to go ahead and take this one down now. 37500.
So do you still have some games that you're working on?
All my games work because I didn't buy any broken like games that didn't work. Now, a machine that I actually did restoration work, which didn't involve any sort of electronics, was the Qbert converted to a MattyMo. Basically, I did not do any work on the board. The game was functional, and the monitor was functional. It's just that the cabinet was in rough shape. The power cord needed to be swapped out. Obviously, stuff repainted.
You do a video on that. I was yesterday.
The coin door was kind of just, I don't know, paint was flaking off and stuff needed to be sanded off, repainted, and so I did repaint the whole thing. I did take a sander.
It'll make it look like $1 million compared to, since you got where you can pull on my channel, look at the abandoned arcade game that I restored. It's Atari Kangaroo.
I remember that one.
This guy sends me this picture, and this cabinet looks roached. It's been in storage in some abandoned the warehouse itself. It looks like it was abandoned, just trash and shit everywhere. And so the guy brings me this game and gives it to me for free, and it was so bad. And there was like 6 inches of snow outside. I didn't even bring it in the house for like 3 or 4 days. It was so bad.
Yeah, the garage.
What's that?
Yeah, in the garage. Or do you have a garage?
No, this is in my living room at my house.
No. Before you brought it in.
Oh, it was like, I guess he worked for some company, and they were removing like dead cars out of this parking structure or something, and this was in it in one of the corners. And I have a picture on one of the thumbnails where it shows it, and you can see there's just trash and garbage behind it. But same thing with it. The coin door's roached. There's no T-molding really on it. And I'm not expecting it to work at all, but it was all there. And within 6 hours or so, I had it working.
Maybe this is it. Oh,
Still
that's the
need-
original one.
Yeah, that's the photo there. You can see looks like a mattress or just random furniture and crap all behind it. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. I'm like, I'm the last stop for most of these games before the dumpster and their life is over. So if I can, I try to get them going again and pass them on to somebody that'll either put it in an arcade or have it at their house and enjoy it. And this is one of those. This one was toast.
I don't know why.
I sanded all of it down. I bondoed it, and it's not perfect. But if you had it in a lineup, it would look fantastic. You really wouldn't notice how bad it was.
And the stuff, like you had to clean rust and stuff. I mean, the PCB looks like it's intact. Oh gosh, this stupid thing popped in.
That
I just have to turn
edge connector
off
was pretty rough.
because it pops, gets in the way. I have to deal with that at work, remoting into people's machines. That wasn't pleasant.
And there was it has a AR2 in it for the sound.
Yeah.
I'm still having sound problems. I need I can't remember what that audio amp chip was that I need for the PCB, and then I'll have sound. And I still have a little bit of it's like white or little red, or little black lines through the red color on the picture. But other than that, I got it going 100%. And I had never even played it before. And it's kind of like Donkey Kong. It's pretty cool though. Definitely cool for free. Yeah, here's where you can really see how I've already started bondoing it. It looked like it was in a shark attack. Like there was just pieces just bitten out of it all over the place. And so you just sprinkle or spray some of that wood hardener on it and then clamp it down. So try to compress that fiberboard as much as possible. And then I put some Bondo on it, sanded it down smooth, and went from there. And then I just redrew the art myself.
So you didn't do any of you didn't go and buy any of the reproductions.
No, the cabinet, the wood itself was, bubbling out and warped. So I tried to leave the art as intact as possible, but around the edges, I went ahead and took that off because the edges were so bad. So I just, when I was done, or I haven't finished it all the way, but the parts that I have finished, I just came back and hit the white with the primer white and the white spots around the edges. And then some of the detail where you can see like down there at the bottom I'm pointing at, you can see there's like a little pieces where I touched up with paint pen, which makes it super easy. And they sell so many different colors of paint pen and you can match almost anything. But like I said, it doesn't look amazing up close. But if you throw it in a lineup and you're not really looking for what cabinets are junk and what aren't, you would think it was just as good as all the others. I did good enough. I faked it just good enough.
I thought that was the last part of it. Apparently I guess that is it. I thought I was looking for the part where the game was running.
Where the very first video, I have it working at the end.
The very first one?
Yeah. I don't waste no time.
Oh, okay.
I took off like the coin door, and by the end of this first video, I have the before and after where it looks like $1 million, but it's movie magic. Like I painted T-molding on because I didn't have T-molding that would fit that crazy thick particle board. So I just painted everything.
You can get T-molding at what is it?
Oh, I could have got some. By the end of the video that night, I wanted it to look as good as possible. So I knew if I just painted the black on the edge, it would look like it had T-molding. See how the right side doesn't? but
Right.
the right side does, but the left side doesn't. So I just painted that left side, and it looked fine on camera. You couldn't even tell. They cleaned up pretty decent.
Micro Center has T-molding. Of course,
Yeah.
they were selling those kits to build.
But you got to remember, this thing sat in a warehouse with water damage, so
I know.
sides were so thick. I would have had to hit it with a router and make a whole brand new, which I will do, because after that Bondo, I'm all set up to cut a new groove all the way around for brand new T-molding. I just wasn't going to do it that first day. I just wanted it to look really good for the thumbnail.
So Kangaroo, yes, is like Donkey Kong, but it's hard.
It's pretty fun. Donkey Kong can get frustrating too.
Yeah. And I see
There's
your Mario. Well, it's getting close to 11:30. Unfortunately, things happened where you
I
had.
can talk arcade literally all night long. I got
Where is
millions
your
of stories.
arcade?
Huh?
You work for, you have the Kingcade, or is that something that, or
As far as like full blown arcades, I worked at. Do you need to cut through, Roman? You can cut through.
I just didn't want to be in here live.
Go ahead. I worked at the Neutral Zone. I worked at, what was after that? I worked at Playtime Party Center in Wentzville. I worked for, I work on my own. I've worked for a lot of arcades, but I worked for Kingcade. I've worked at the Retrocade in Leavenworth. For Steve down in Fort Smith, Arkansas. He has the arcade. Worked down there for him for a little while. Worked for Slackers on some of their games here in St. Louis, and then tons of bowling alleys and little mom and pop places that own their own stuff. But yeah, it's pretty much like you're saying, the whole gambit, everything from 1980 to 2024.
I tried to go to your website, MattyMo'sArcade.com. It doesn't want to load.
It's down right now because my inventory, because I had a full store. My inventory is in another city from where I am right now. I can't ship anything, so I just took it all down for right now. I need a full room for that, just that web store.
Oh, wow. You mentioned the Neutral Zone. Chesterfield Mall finally closed down.
Yeah, sad day. All the games went for sale just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this. This will be my last question. In the same mall, I've heard stories about this arcade person who was selling arcade games out of a mall somewhere else in the mall.
Oh, yeah. I think it was called like Arcades and More or something, Arcades Plus or something like that. But we all know him, and here locally as Old Krabby Bill.
Yeah, what's the deal with him? Because it's like I've heard repeated horror stories, and then he was like real snotty, and this cat just bit me. Well, guess what?
His dad was in the industry, in the 80s when everything was hot, right? And
yeah.
So he inherited his dad's business, but I don't think he really ran it as a business. He just inherited all the machines and had been working on the machines with his dad all that time. So he has and I've been told various stories, whether it's still full or it's almost empty, but he had a warehouse downtown St. Louis that was full of just the best of the best games in the best shape. And he slowly would sell them off for big, big bucks. So he's got this location in Chesterfield Mall, kind of just around the corner from our arcade. And it's always got the gate pulled down. Like I've been in there maybe 3 times in my entire life where the gate was up, but he's usually in there. But the front gate will be down. It has arcade games all the way around it, kind of like it's a little arcade, but everything has a price tag on it. Everything is running 24/7, and it is full blown retail. Like if it's a Pac-Man, it's a $1,850 Pac-Man that probably still needs T-molding. But yeah, he moved his local business into the mall because the rent was so cheap there. And so he had his little showroom up front that he would sell games out of every now and then and pay the rent. But he would run his repair business out of the back there, which he really didn't care if he went on any jobs or not. He didn't care if he answered the phone. He didn't care if he answered the phone and told you he'd come next week, if he really did come next week. So it was just hit or miss if you could get a hold of him, if you could buy anything from him, learn anything from him, or get him to fix anything. It was just constant, I don't know. And he would just yell and be like, "Are you serious? You don't know how to turn the volume up on this game?" Whatever the problem was. But yeah, we'll call him old Crabby Bill. I tried to go down and just get a little bit of fuse from him one time while that we were both open. And he's like, "Well, it's going to be like $17." I was like, "Don't worry about it. $17." That was before I knew you could buy them, like a case of them on Amazon for like $9. Yeah, he's another one. He wouldn't let anybody play the games. It's only a showroom. It's not an arcade.
Yeah, I don't get it. Plus,
he's a gamer, though. He's one of those guys. He likes to talk about the stuff. So if you find him on the right day and he's in the right mood, he will share all kinds of tips and tricks and tricks of the trade and cool stories about this, that, and the other. But it'll only be that one day for maybe an hour. And then you're not going to hear anything like that out of him again for years. It's so rare. But he would be the greatest guest if you could just get him for those 2 hours.
Yeah, if I could find him, but I don't know if I'm ever going to find this guy. I've never met him.
It's like finding Polybius.
Polybius?
Yeah.
Oh, Polybius.
You can find Polybius easier than you can find old Crabby Bill in a good mood.
Oh,
He did have some cool stuff, though.
I think it would be easier. I think right now it's more difficult to find Bouncer because that is a lost arcade game. Polybius has been produced, at least in some form.
Yeah, you can make a repro because somebody came out with like a computer game that would be similar. Nobody really is looking to play that weird game anyway.
Yeah, it was kind of bizarre.
It's supposed to give you a headache. Like, I don't believe that story for a second. It's just, I think it was a creepypasta or something. It's just a really well-written story. Fits right in with the time, all the mystery of new games coming and going. It's like, if you really played at your arcade a lot, you would see these test games come in. You're closer to Chicago, so you probably saw a lot more. But here in St. Louis, we got to see a lot of test games too. We're right on that path.
My neighbor had an arcade in Jacksonville, and some relatively uncommon games went through there. The game plan stuff did, obviously, because it was out of the Chicago area. That was in the first half of the 80s, not the second half. Had to go really... If the parents took me out to White Oaks Mall in Springfield and to Len's Castle out there, then I could see some games. Or what is it? Great Escape, Valley's Great Escape in Jacksonville. That was another place.
Yeah, I played a lot at Six Flags. They always had some of the newer games. And then one of our malls, it had this giant food court, and then underneath it was a Tilt arcade. And it was huge. It had miniature golf. It had all the new games. That's where I played like a Time Traveler for the first time, Mortal Kombat for the first time. I remember Mortal Kombat, there was just a line so long. They had one cabinet and everybody wanted to play it. Like, it looks so real.
Practically a fighting game tournament.
We could play Pit Fighter. It looks real too. No.
At least that was 3 players.
True. They had the quarters lined up, remember, on top of the marquee. I got next. That was a fun one. All right, man. We'll definitely have to do this again. I got plenty more stories for you. We're just getting started.
Yeah, I don't know when we're going to hook up again. And we'll have to make sure that there's like you'll have an easier time situated.
Yeah, this was just a weird repair. Like, there's a customer from a long time ago, and she called me and was like, "Hey, do you have time to fix this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got 2 days to fix it." It's like, I just got to be home by tomorrow night. And then I'm still trying to fix it, and I'm 2 hours away. And I was like, "Oh crap! Like, I need to go right now." And so I didn't get a chance to even like film the end of the progress of the pinball machines for this weekend or anything. But what can you do? I was on the move. But yeah, just let me know next time, you need to fill in or something. Most of the time on Thursday evenings, I'm just hanging. There's nothing going on. So
Pretty soon I'm going to move the start time back up to 8 o'clock since it's getting dark sooner. And next week I am going to be moving the podcast back to 8 o'clock. My guest next week will be Taylor Lucas, no relation that I know of. He's out of Indiana. He was part of a warehouse raid that was posted online recently.
was the raid in Indiana?
No, it was in West Virginia.
Oh, okay, good.
The raid was in a building that was explored by a YouTuber who explores abandoned places and found arcade games in there. Well, that sat in there for a few years, but these game restorers, collectors, were trying to find out where this place was. They
There's a
found
place like that in St. Louis too that some explorers. There's only like 10 or 12 games, but they're good ones. It's like somebody's personal collection.
Rescue them.
I was like, please, like I just want to come and fix them and film it. Like, you guys can keep them. Whoever owns them, I don't care. I just want to come and fix them because they're all great titles. There's like 720 and
well, the deal is you got to find out who the owner of the building is, and then, or at least,
if I go through that much trouble, I'm buying them.
The city had ownership of this abandoned building, and
they're like cleared out.
Yeah, but good grief. Kids got in there and kind of messed them up a little bit, or at least didn't.
Broke the monitors and stuff.
Well, the monitors were intact, the PCBs were intact, and ironically, you were talking about kangaroo. There was a kangaroo in there. That was the only game game was in the best condition and untouched. And
that's the funniest thing about that kangaroo.
Working.
You'll always find a kangaroo that is just the nicest cabinet in the world. It's like somehow they were just put up and not used. I happen to have the biggest turd kangaroo cabinet, and I'm trying to fix it when there's literally hundreds of mint cabinets all over the place because nobody likes the game.
I'd probably take one cheap if there was one out there for me to get, but I doubt
it would be great in a little Atari row like that, though.
Well, the other problem I have is transporting it. I don't have a truck. I need a truck. That's
my problem.
I have a Geostorm and a Toyota Prius, and it's like those are not for hauling games.
I got a Jeep Wrangler, and I got a Miss Pac-Man in my Jeep Wrangler and brought it home. I had to take out the back seat before I left, and then I took the top off. And I had the person help me. We put it in underneath the roll cage and stood it up in the inside of the back and then strapped it down to the roll cage. And there I went down the road.
I mean, I could make do with a van too if I could, but I don't know. Somebody wants
American Picker's got a real nice van for something like that.
Yeah. All right, Matt. Thank you for coming in. I know
you bet, man.
Travel or lost track of time and had to travel in. So,
we'll do it again for sure. Just let me know. All right.
It is what it is. I'm going to edit this down, kind of take out the gap.
I definitely want to get back up there your way too and get to the Ghost again sometime soon. Do some more filming.
Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to go back.
It's been a lot of Mondays since I've been there.
I am going for the Pinball Expo. That's next month, and this is the 40th. And it's probably it's the biggest one ever.
It's this month?
October 15th through the 19th.
I can probably make that.
Yes,
doable.
because this is the 40th. This is a milestone, so it's going to be much bigger than last year. Year 30 was the first one I went to, and it was a big deal. Year 31 shrank, and then the next few years were kind of smaller. But then when I got to 35, it kind of expanded out again, and then they got to the Schaumburg Convention Center, so they had a lot more room.
Are you guys dwarfed by Midwest Gaming Classic? Because it's just right north of you, right?
Okay, so
It has
Midwest
this
Gaming
huge
Classic is in
arcade.
Wisconsin Center. The Schaumburg Convention Hall is smaller, I would say. However, if they wanted to go multiple sections of the convention floor, they could. So they have a lot more room to expand in if they wanted to go much larger than the convention space they've been using. But doggone, the Wisconsin Center, the Bard Center.
Have you been to Arcon yet? The Mo Game Con?
What?
Yeah, you've been to Mo Game Con at least once, right?
Multiple. I get a vendor table for free every year.
Oh, that's right. See, I think our con does really well. I just think our arcade sucks. It's like we're not getting enough people to participate. It's not given enough priority, I don't think.
No, I mean they moved to another building, and that's why I bring the two bar top multi-games so people have some arcade game to play.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why I get in every year.
I think it's a big, huge part of the convention, though. Like Midwest Gaming Classic, you can go around and you can walk around and buy stuff from the vendors and stuff. But there's a whole nother part of the day that you can spend in the arcade that you're not leaving the convention center. You're still buying snacks and stuff. When you go to Mo Game Con, once you walk the tables and the vendors and stuff for sale, there's not a whole lot to do other than wait on panels or, something like that. And so the arcade is really needed in our con to keep people there and entertained, I think. But
do what I can. But my Prius barely fits the two multicades and then all the stuff I'm selling.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I'll be back next year, hopefully.
Yeah, I haven't gone the past 2 years. This year I just didn't go. I don't know why I didn't go. And then last year I think I was living out of town. I think I was still in Arkansas.
Oh, Orlando's. It was too crowded. It was too small. It was
last year.
Sardines, Orlando's. So that would have been 22.
22.
No, 23. Sorry, 23. 24. They moved to a bigger building with a bunch.
It started in my detail shop, right?
The first one was in an American Legion Hall.
That was the first Mo Game Con, but we started this 5 years before that, and we just did meetups and trades, right?
Oh, okay.
And so everybody in the group would meet up, and I held the first one at my shop, and I cleared out all the dead arcade games, and then I had a lineup of ones that worked on one side, and all of us showed up, and I think every 3 months or so, one of us in the group would volunteer to host a meetup, and we would all trade. And then eventually that became Mo Game Con, just bigger. I think that first one that was at the St. Charles Arena, Family Arena or whatever, that was great. If we could have kept everything on that level, but I think everybody came the first day and a half, and then nobody came the last day at all. So maybe not 3 days, but we could have tweaked that. But it might have been too expensive.
Because I only ran there. I only took my stuff there for one day.
There was people there Saturday and Sunday, I guess. So most of the people didn't sell stuff on Sunday, but there were a lot of vendors there. There was a lot of panels. They had enough guests and panels scheduled out over the whole weekend. But that was a tough thing. If it's noon and you wanted to see NES Punk at 3:00, what is there to do for 3 hours other than just walk around and look at the same stuff you can't afford to buy? And
Yeah.
luckily, like me and my buddies, and there were 4 or 5 other guys that brought arcade games. So that first one we had, I think, almost 20 games. It was pretty decent. I think the 2 plumbers or 2 plumber brothers or whatever, they brought some games too. And
Brewery.
that wasn't too bad, that first one. But we had plenty of room, and I guess too much room. It was probably too expensive there. It's probably why we didn't go back, because we just had that 1 year. And we had all kinds of guests, and like the guy with the NES PlayStation, multiple people that just had the cart from the Nintendo World Championships. It's like, hey, what's up with you? I just have a cart. Everybody comes to look at me because I have this around my neck.
David Brody was there also.
Yeah. There was a lot of people that were there like me who had followings and channels that, didn't have a table or weren't advertising themselves, just people walking around and stuff, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then I think the next year is when we had all the Mortal Kombat people and stuff, right? Or was that first one? Might have been that first one.
I don't know when the Mortal Kombat people came through.
That was pretty cool though, because it was almost like, you could get autograph stuff, but they were entertainment too, because they were telling stories. It had so many stories, and with them all being multiple characters and stuff, it was really interesting. It's pretty fun. Those guys were cool.
All right, Matt. I want to thank you for coming in. We'll have you back, and hopefully things will. Hopefully you're not in a dead rush and horribly busy. But
I appreciate you having me on. It's fun. I can always talk arcade.
Yeah. All right, Matt.
All right, brother.
Thank you. All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Crimeycade. This edition of the Crimeycade podcast. Next week will be Taylor Lucas, and we'll talk about rare arcade games and warehouse raids and stuff. So until next time, I hope to see you around the arcades soon to steal one Doc Macaline. But have a good night, everybody.